Hello and welcome to the Vinyl Sanctuary. My name is Christian and I hope that you will join me in taking refuge in records. So I'm here today with part 8 of my Top 100 Side 1 Track 1 ranking series, and in this batch of 10 records I'm going to be looking at my picks that are from 30 up to 21. So we are getting ever closer to the top of the mountain here. There's only another couple more parts to go after this one, and I will be able to finally reveal my all-time favourite side one, track one. But there's a little bit to go before then, so I won't get too ahead of myself. So for anybody who may have landed on the video just in isolation, wondering who I am and what I'm doing and this series that I'm talking about, thank you very much first of all for being here. I really appreciate it. And you can catch up on parts 1 to 7 by clicking on the links to those videos in the description box to this video that you're watching right now. So as you can probably imagine, for people who are catching up, the series at the time of recording has been going on for several months now. I've been recording the videos on and off as I've had the chance to do them, but I have also recorded them consecutively. There's not been any breaks to look at anything else here on the channel, as I wanted to kind of keep everything in sequence and work through this top 100 in an orderly way, and just to make sure that I've kept all my energy and focus on the task at hand. So yeah, I'm really happy, as I always say with these parts, with the records that I've chosen, the songs that I'm going to be talking about today. Hopefully you will enjoy them. So please do sit back, relax, and I do hope that what I'm showing today is of people's preferences. If maybe there's stuff here today that's of interest to them, maybe some of the factual stuff that I share that I'll just talk about off the top of my head. There might be one or two things here that might pique your interest or give you maybe a bit of incentive to go and check some of these songs out. I would imagine that some of these songs would be known to quite a lot of my followers, people who've been playing along since the very beginning. Part 1 feels a long time ago now. I know that some of these songs have popped up in other people's picks at this moment in time, which has been lovely to see, but they are now going to be making an appearance here with me. So here we go, let's get into it. Let's see how we get on and take it from there. Okay, so starting us off then at number 30, we've got a brilliant song here. Arguably got the greatest guitar riff in rock music history. I'd be very interested for people to get into the comments and let me know whether or not they agree with that claim. I'm not 100% sure that I'm going to nail my colours to the mast and say that it's my personal all-time favourite guitar riff in rock history, but by God, it's definitely up there. I don't think many people would argue with that. Music is subjective, so people have always got the preferences, but it is a riff for the ages. I think it's definitely one of those riffs that other guitar players hear it and would think, yeah, wish I'd written that one. So starting us off then with that iconic riff, and there's a lot more music going on besides that. We have got the song Whole Lotta Love from the album Led Zeppelin 2, which came out in 1969. This was actually the second studio album that Led Zeppelin released in 1969. So they released their debut, simply called Led Zeppelin, at the beginning of the year, and then Led Zeppelin 2 followed later that same year. So I'm just going to take it out of the packaging here so you can see it a little more clearly before I talk about the song Whole Lotta Love. And I'm sure that people even know the riff inside out and back to front and have heard it a billion times over their lifetime. And I'm sure if there are maybe people who are tuning in that are maybe not sure of the riff, then please do listen to it. And yeah, it's one of those instantly recognizable, very memorable guitar riffs. It's been used in all kinds of programs, and it pops up a lot, on in everyday culture and life. I suppose it's just one of those riffs. It's been done, and used in all manner of ways. So yeah, it is a wonderful piece of guitar craft by the one and only Jimmy Page. Okay, so just out of interest here, this photograph is actually it's a photograph of a German Air Force division from the First World War. I believe it was the Flying Circus that was led by the Red Baron. And then, as you can see here, we've got the actual band members' heads superimposed in different areas onto the photograph. So I'll try and point them out for you. So we've got Jimmy Page here, got Robert Plant here, drummer there, John Bonzo Bonham there, and then we've got the bass player and just an amazing all-round multi-instrumentalist and arranger. We've got there John Paul Jones. So that's the personnel covered. So this is a gatefold, this version of Led Zeppelin 2 here that I've got. You can see here, got the inside there to show you, just so you can see what the packaging looks like before I talk a little bit about the song. So there's the inside, and yeah, this is a repress. Even has Whole Lot of Love there included on the hype sticker alongside Ramble On. So it is the classic album there, repressed on 180 gram vinyl. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about Whole Lot of Love. So yeah, I mean, apart from that guitar riff, which, you know, does make the song, you know, let's be fair about it. It does have an incredible vocal on it by Robert Plant, as one would come to expect, you know, being into Led Zeppelin. For people that are maybe thinking about discovering them or listening to them, Robert Plant certainly had a voice for the ages as well, absolutely tailor-made to sing rock music, extremely powerful, very forceful, a lot of grit in there as well, but could sing tenderly when required too. But on Whole Lot of Love, it is a full-on sort of ballsy rock performance. So great work with the old pipes by Robert Plant. Uses the falsetto quite a lot throughout, but again driven with a lot of power alongside it. Some great sort of rhythm work alongside it too, with John Paul Jones and John Bonham, the two Johns, doing wonderful things there in the rhythm section, especially the drums on it are just awesome. And then there's a really cool sort of like quite a lengthy instrumental break in there as well. And I was really fascinated to learn more about how that break was put together in the studio, in the documentary Becoming Led Zeppelin. So for anybody who's maybe not seen that documentary and are interested in learning more about the band, the early years of the band, I should say, then please do check out that documentary. I went to the Liverpool Philharmonic to watch it. It was an absolutely amazing experience seeing it on the old screen that they've got there. And yeah, there was quite a good portion of the documentary devoted to showing how Jimmy Page used, you know, some studio trickery and some very inventive decisions with the musical instruments on the track to make this really cool, almost kind of psychedelic instrumental break. You know, doing all sorts of crazy things with, you know, like the strings being almost like made into like elastic, and yeah, there's all kinds of things going on there. A lot of jiggery pokery, which I won't ruin for people that want to go and check it out themselves. But there's some brilliant percussion work going on throughout that break as well. And then once the break concludes, we just get this searing guitar solo from Jimmy Page. Very short, very sweet. It's certainly not one of his lengthier solos, but my word, does it do the job. It's just so melodic and hard. And I think one of my favourite elements of Whole Lot of Love, which is why it's made it into my top 100 and made it to a very respectable number 30, is just because of the sheer power of it. It's just got this like sort of bound all the way through it, like a really just a full-on rock feast, really. You know, for people that just want to get their heads down and have a good old boogie, listening just to some stunning playing. You know, this is the late 60s as well, so you know, there's almost like I would say maybe a bit of proto metal in there, perhaps as well, arguably. Very hard rock, but you know, just listening to the sheer power of it, even today, all these years later, it still packs a hell of a wallop, and for that, I really do think it deserves all the plaudits and acclaim that it gets, and very much cemented Jimmy Page's status as a guitar god. Although he had done some wonderful work prior to recording this song and the album, he'd already shown incredible work and done wonderful things on their debut, and also on the countless sessions that he played with other artists as well. There are way too many to go through on this video here. If you look up Jimmy Page's resume as a session player, and John Paul Jones for that matter as well, the pair of them did some amazing work pre Led Zeppelin. And again, that's stuff that they go into more detail on the documentary that I mentioned before, Becoming Led Zeppelin. So that's a great way to get us started today. Whole Lot of Love. And as always is the case with all my songs that I'm showing in this top 100, I do encourage people to please go and listen to them, whether they're old favourites or whether you're looking to reconnect with, connect with them, sorry, for the very first time. Please do let me know if my video encourages you to do that, and then please do pop me a comment and let me know how these picks have landed with you. Okay then, so moving on to the next one. A little bit of a spoiler here, which I don't usually do, but I've decided I will, just while we're getting into towards the end of the series. I've actually got here an artist who's appearing here in solo form and will be appearing a little later within the same batch with the band that the person was in as well. So big clue there. So obviously when I show you the artist, you're already going to be knowing or thinking which band will be appearing shortly afterwards, but it'll just be which opening track. So you'll have to get your thinking caps on and try and work out there which song I went for and where it's going to be ranked within this little batch. So coming up next then, we've got now arguably one of the greatest drum riffs of all time. So we've had one of the greatest intro guitar riffs there with Whole Lot of Love. For me personally, this might even well be my favourite drum riff ever. Certainly for an opening track, just to get the blood pumping. The whole way in which the drum kit is used here in the performance really makes the song. It gives it the sort of the swagger and the edge and almost like the danger that the song itself warrants. Just from reading through the lyrics and that as well, it just accompanies the song in such a brilliant way and keeps everything moving and gathering momentum, and just makes for a very exciting opening track. So the track in question is Lust for Life, and the artist here is Iggy Pop. Nice big cheesy photograph there of Mr. Jimmy Osterberg, also known as Iggy Pop. Nearly said Jimmy Pop there, Iggy Pop. And yeah, the album's called Lust for Life as well. And another pure coincidence here. So I've just shown there Led Zeppelin, who I mentioned there, had 2 albums released in 1969. Iggy Pop here had an unbelievable 1977 where he released both this album and also The Idiot as well. They both came out in 1977, and both of those albums were recorded with the rather sizable input of a certain Mr. David Bowie. So yeah, Lust for Life, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful song on what is a great album. And responsible for playing the drums that I've just been waxing lyrical about is Hunt Sales. So Hunt Sales and his brother Tony is the bassist here on the record, the Sales Brothers. They had previously worked with, I believe they'd worked with Todd Rundgren, and they, amongst others as well, but they do an unbelievable job here on this record. I mean, the drums throughout, I just think, sound wonderful on the album, but I am sticking just to talking about songs in isolation, opening songs. We've got guitars on here by Carlos Alomar and Ricky Gardner as well. Piano is contributed by David Bowie. Does some vocals on here as well, I think in places, and then he's helping out with production and recording and all kinds. So this is really just a brilliant collaboration between Iggy and David Bowie, but the Sales Brothers shine on it as well, certainly on this song. And yeah, I mean, even from the opening lines of Lust for Life, you're getting an idea of what the whole sort of song is about. Here comes Johnny Yen again with the liquor and drugs and the flesh machine. He's going to do another striptease. Hey man, where'd you get that lotion? Been hurting since I bought the gimmick. And then it just goes on and on for there. And then you've got the extremely memorable chorus of, well, I'm just a modern guy. Of course, I've had it in the ear before because of a lust for life. Lust for life. Goes on to say that he's worth $1 million in prizes. So there's a lot of imagery going on in the lyrics here by Iggy Pop, and I've always thought he's a very underrated lyricist. I've always enjoyed the lyrical work of Iggy. I mean, he's known obviously for being such a charismatic frontman, utterly fearless, usually topless, jumping into crowds and really suffering for his art in a lot of respects, certainly in the earlier years, the very hedonistic years of Iggy Pop. Just an absolute force of nature, and utterly magnetic on stage. I've had the pleasure of watching Iggy live quite a number of times now. Would have loved to have seen him, back in the day, but even in his advancing years, I've had the pleasure of watching him many times over the past sort of 20 odd years, and he's never, never disappointed. So yeah, Lust for Life, Wonderful, wonderful song. Just check out the drums alone on it. It's just got such a great swagger and groove to it. The rest of the instrumentation is wonderful in it. Iggy sounds great. And just because I like to do so, because I've mentioned on the channel a few times now to newcomers that my favourite band of all time is Manic Street Preachers. And when they recorded their original version of the track You Love Us, which appeared on their debut album Generation Terrorist, they recorded it originally when they were on the Heavenly label, and it's known as the Heavenly version of You Love Us. They actually go into Lust for Life at the very, very end of the song. You know, they resurrect that iconic drum riff intro that I mentioned there by Hunt Sales. So that was obviously Sean Moore of the Manic Street Preachers playing it on that track. So yeah, just as a little bonus, and it'd make me really happy, although it's not an opening track or anything. And it's not even in the top 100, but yeah, give the original version of You Love Us by the Manics a listen as well. And please do pop the original inspiration for that drum part on alongside it, Lust for Life by Iggy Pop. Great stuff. Brilliant, brilliant song that. Okay, so we've had Iggy, we've had Led Zeppelin. Going to something a little bit quieter now, not quite as rocky, but it's certainly got some energy and some bounce to it. I'm a huge fan of it. This one came out in 1983. And what I will say, because it's happened quite often in my life, is I get talking about this band to people, and it always lights me up and makes me smile whenever people go, oh yeah, yeah, you know, I love those, you know, all of those guys, you know, brilliant, brilliant songs, brilliant debut album, etc., etc. But then there's been a few other times when I've talked to people and they've looked a bit blank faced at me, you know, not really sure who I'm going on about, and then I'll name the name of this song, which is, you know, arguably their most famous song, opening track on the album. Still not sure who I'm talking about, but then I'll go, oh, come on, you know, you have heard it, you have heard it. Oh, go on, what does it go like? And then it's the inevitable. Oh, yeah, 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 I know that one. Of course, yeah. And honestly, it's happened so many times because I pretty much end up talking about music wherever I go, which won't surprise people. I've like done Zoom calls with, you know, business associates and potential clients and get talking about music and stuff. And you know, I find it as a very positive way to connect with people, and I think it's important that people know about my passion for music alongside just, you know, being someone who does, you know, well, we all, you know, work for a living, but knowing a bit more about me. And there's been loads of times where this band have popped up and where that song has popped up. So any opportunity I get to talk about the Violent Femmes, I'm going to take it. So that famous riff there that I did, that intro, got some really iconic riffs here today, opening these songs up. It is Blister in the Sun, and it is from the debut album Violent Femmes, self-titled, as I mentioned, came out in 1983. And honestly, yeah, I mean, so many people know the song. No doubt they've heard it on adverts or maybe in a film or whatever. And yeah, it's just one of those. It always makes me smile because you say the track to some people, just the name of it, and they really don't know. But that is such an iconic riff. You know, just that combination of that very slight little bass line part there by Brian Ritchie. I think it's the bass at the beginning playing that, not the guitar. Yeah, that comes in a little later. And then that little drum part there by Victor De Lorenzo. When you combine those notes together in the way it's done, just the sort of like the staccato rhythm of it, just a really brilliant way to open a track up, makes it instantly memorable. So yeah, then we've got Gordon Gano coming in, very eccentric character, I feel, absolute genius, I think. They're just a brilliant band, these guys. But Blister in the Sun, very sort of teenage angsty in terms of its lyrical themes, quite abstract, I would say, as well. I wouldn't say it's them. I mean, the imagery in places is pretty self-explanatory and quite vivid, but then other parts of it, one could argue, are open to interpretation. But you know, Let Me Go On, like I Blister in the Sun, Let Me Go On, Big Hands, I Know You're the One, pretty much is the chorus. That riff repeats itself throughout, which is so well done. Yeah, this is just not a gatefold or anything, this one. Not to, oh yeah, just show you the inside. There we go. After I keep remembering to do that. Lots and lots of squall there to pick through for people who've bought the album. Yeah, there was nothing to show, I don't think, in Iggy in the inside. Let's have a quick look, just double check. Yeah, it's just a plain black on that one. on the RCA label there. So just pop that back, make sure that I do these things in sequence. I don't want to be leaving any of these records out, especially with us getting up to the top as well. I've made sure that throughout the series I do show the insides as well, just for people that might be interested in what the inners and stuff look like. So yeah, I mean, as I was saying about the song, it really does just sort of roll along at this lovely tempo. If I was to describe it musically, what would I say? It's almost like kind of punked up folk, really, is how I would describe the Violent Femmes. There's definitely a punky edge to it. I hear quite a bit of like Jonathan Richman in there, even a bit of the Velvet Underground. I'd say were an influence on the Violent Femmes. I might be going out on a limb saying that, but I hear it. That sort of late 70s kind of post-punky new wavy scene that was starting to emerge. I mean, this was 83, so I do hear a bit of that in there. But I think one of the reasons why I rated it so highly, other than the fact it's just a great song, is because it really just takes me back to my teenage years. This was a song that got played every single week at the local indie disco that I went to. So there were two DJs, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned them on the channel before, a pair of local legends by the name of Greg and Danny. And the first time I ever heard this song was at one of those indie nights. And I remember going up to Greg, who I'm still in contact with to this day, actually, which is really lovely. I do contact him through social media every now and again. And I just remember hearing this song, saying to him that I just thought it was absolutely fantastic. So I probably would have been maybe about 18 or something like that at this point. Greg told me who it was by. I remember making a note of it there and then, wrote it down on a piece of paper, and then I ended up buying a rather expensive at the time. It was a CD copy of it on a Canadian import, and it had I think it had a couple of yes, it did. It had a couple of extra tracks on the end. This is just something out of interest. It had "Give Me the Car" on it and "Ugly" as well, which are not songs that are on the original track listing, but they were on the CD version that I bought. That CD is long gone now. But yeah, Greg introduced me to it on one of the club nights. And then my friends and I, when we were all a bit tipsy, we'd all had a few beers. Whenever the quiet part ushers into the song, there is a quiet part. When we'd hear it week after week, we'd all be shushing each other. When Gordon Gano's vocal descends into a whisper and the music starts to quieten down, and then it all just kind of explodes again with "Let Me Go On," like I blister in the sun. So a great use of dynamics in the song as well, and it's just one of those tunes that just makes me happy whenever I hear it. And I think sometimes, I'm sure people who've been tuning into me, when they've been making the decisions with this top 100 opening tracks, I think when a song just takes you back to a very specific place in your life, and it's a time where just endless optimism, and I suppose the all the great sort of benefits and all the brilliance and wonder of being young and just being out with your friends and having a good old time. A song like that can really help to capture those moments when you listen to them decades later. So "Blister in the Sun" for that reason is one of them songs for me. There are many others that fall into that category, but it really is one that does bring a big smile to my face. And I'll always thank Greg and his DJing pal Danny for always playing that at their nights and then continuing to play it, and no doubt having me mithering them to death every week to keep playing it as well. So yeah, great stuff. "Blister in the Sun" by Violent Femmes. Okay, so let's move on to the next pick then. So we're still in the 1980s here for the time being. So we're going to be moving over from the US now. The Violent Femmes came out of Milwaukee, I believe. And I think this band here, I know they're from the UK. I think they came out of Coventry, actually. So this came out, I think, in 88. Yeah, I've remembered that right, 1988. And again, yeah, to be honest, I think pretty much a lot of these songs here, without wanting to sound like a broken record, excuse me, throat's a bit tickly there as well. They've just got great intros. Like so many of these picks, now that I think of it, they're just immediately there. You're right in the middle of the song, even though the song hasn't even begun. It just kind of puts you in a place of I want to hear more. Give me more of what's going on. Excuse me. Right, I think I've just got that frog out my throat there. I didn't want to keep trying to talk there while I needed to clear my voice a minute. So apologies there if anybody's listening on the old headphones and got a bit of a boost in noise there. Apologies for that. So yeah, let's get into this track. So brilliant jingly jangly sort of bubblegum type tune, very infectious, very famous. Was a I think it was a worldwide smash. I think it did very well in America as well as in its native UK. So the song is Crash, and the band are the Primitives, and the album is called Lovely, and it is a lovely album. It truly is. And I hope that didn't sound too Alan Partridge there, but it really is a great album. But Crash, I mean, it's one of those songs. Again, it makes me smile. It takes me back to childhood. This one. I remember growing up in the house. Well, I remember growing up in the house. I remember being in the house growing up, obviously, and hearing this track. I don't know who owned it. It might have been my brother. It might have been would have been one of my older sisters potentially. But I just remember hearing this and just being so enamored with it. The vocals on it by Tracy Tracy, who's this lovely lady here, Tracy Tracy. They've just got such an appeal to them. You know, this really sort of very sort of girl groupy tone that almost kind of harkens back to the sort of the girl groups of yesteryear. Really, like I hear there's for me this is almost like an 80s reimagining of the whole 50s 60s kind of bubblegum girl group type of sound, and even the subject matter as well. About crashing and because when you think of like those sort of like those old type motorcycle songs and stuff from back in the day, again there's like a sense of impending danger to the song. Don't slow down, you're going to break your neck and all this. Shut your mouth because I'm not listening anyhow. It's got some really quite biting lyrics, I would say, in places, Crash, but it's just got this really sort of propulsive, infectious, jingly jangly guitar tune to it, beat as well. So that kind of makes it of its time. Quite Smithsy, which is quite an interesting thing to mention because Morrissey was a huge fan of the Primitives. I think he was even spotted a few times back in the day sporting, Primitives t-shirts and things like that. So he was a fan of the group, which doesn't surprise me because I do hear a bit of Smiths in there, a bit of sort of my guitar with some kind of slightly harder rock crunch behind it as well. And yeah, it's just one of those songs. You hear it, it's memorable. The whole na 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 na. The vocalizing in there is ultra distinctive and memorable. And any song that just makes me smile like that is always going to be a winner in my book. It doesn't overstay its welcome in terms of length. Tracy, as I mentioned, her voice throughout is just really pleasant and pleasing on the ear. What else is there to say about it, really? I mean, lyrically, one could argue, it's not probably the deepest of lyrics, but does that matter? It's a pop song. Do all songs have to have these kind of hyper literate or cerebral concepts going on to them? No, I don't think so, and I certainly think it's deeper than perhaps it appears to be on the surface. As I mentioned, there is like a biting sort of tone to some of those lyrics, almost like again a bit of a cautionary tale, and the way in which it's just delivered and performed, produced brilliantly as well. I just think it sounds brilliant. For me, it's a timeless pop song, one I'll never ever tire of listening to, and that's why it's ranked so highly here in my top 100. And there's a picture there. It might be quite difficult to see with it being in blue. But yeah, Primitives. Please do check out Crash. That's another song, that's released on Lazy Records. That's another song that people, if they're just drawing a blank at the name Crash, stick it on. No doubt you've probably heard it. It's been used in quite a few films and stuff, and that it does. I think it still gets played to this day on radio and things. So yeah, just a great song, that one. So Crash by the Primitives. Okay, so let's see how many we've got left in the pile here now. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 left to go. Okay, so at this stage then, I just want to say thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. I've really enjoyed going through this batch. think as you know, as I've started to climb up the top 100 ranking, I mean, I've loved talking about them all, don't get me wrong, and it's been a pleasure and a privilege to deliver this series on the channel. But these are songs here, because we're getting up to those higher levels, that I've got so much love and passion for. I have for the others as well, but I've really enjoyed talking about these ones. So I do hope that you've enjoyed what I've had to say about them so far, and I hope that the remaining tracks to show you in this batch are all to your liking. And please do let me know if you check any of them out. Okay, so this next one then, another brilliant intro. Starts off with a bit of a sort of a punky bluesy guitar chug, and then it just kind of explodes into life when the drums kick in. So this is my all-time favourite album from 1981. So that's a huge spoiler there for anybody who's planning to check out my 1980s video series. Please do consider checking it out. It's still worth watching, but I've just let you know about 1981. There's another album actually coming up here as well, with an opening track on it from 81, which is right up towards the top as well. But this is my fave from that year. Just love the album so much. Absolutely adore it, in fact. So coming up now then, we have got the song Sex Beat, and the album is Fire of Love, and the band is the brilliant Gun Club. So there we go. Fire of Love by Gun Club, Sex Beat. This is an alternate sleeve. I've never seen the not out and about when I've been vinyl hunting. I've never seen a copy of this album with that alternate sleeve, and I'm not going to try to describe it because can't really visualize it that well. I think it might be pink. It's like a pink sleeve with kind of like cutouts of heads and things on it. It's a really striking sleeve, but I really do like this copy, the one that I've got. It look like zombies there on the front. If you see, they're covered in like cobwebs and stuff. It's quite an arresting image, that one. So here we go. This is my copy. I think it's a French copy, but I didn't pick it up in France. I actually bought this in Holland. I remember seeing it on. It was up high on a shelf, and I was looking at it at the store that I went to, and it might have even been a store actually on a market, come to think of it. My memory's getting a bit hazy. And I did try, which I've never been that great at doing really, I did try to haggle a little bit on the price, because what he was asking for it was quite a big chunk of my holiday spends. But I was so keen to get it, and to be fair to the gentleman, he wasn't budging. He said no. He said this is like one of my most sort of valuable records that I've got available to sell, and it is what it is. So I said, fair enough. No, I completely respect that. So we ended up, shaking hands, and I bought it at the amount that he was asking for it. And I'm so glad that I did, because I just love the album so much. And Sex Beat is just a brilliant song to get everything kicked off. So I'll talk a little bit now about the track, because I'm pretty sure, again from memory, yeah, it's just a plain sleeve. That I think it's on the New Rose label actually. So yeah, it is. It's just show that New Rose. There we go. So yeah, I've mentioned that guitar, that sort of punky bluesy riff that kicks the song off, and that's pretty much what the Gun Club are. That they're a very unusual group for anybody who's maybe not familiar with them. You might know them by name. They sort of get thrown in with like cow. I've heard them being described as like cowpunk and stuff like that, which is a fair description. But they've been on to be a massive influence on a lot of alternative guitar rock that came up in the 1990s. I mean, this is from 1981. Jeffrey Lee Pierce, who was the founder, the leader of the Gun Club, was a real character, an unbelievable talent, amazing lyricist, really great lyrics. Certainly on Sex Beat as well. Very sort of very stark imagery in places, and just a great use of language, a great command of the written word, which I always respected about Jeffrey. And whilst his singing can maybe be a little bit off kilter, a little bit off key at times, he's certainly not going to be winning any awards for singing in tune. But a lot of my favourite singers, and I would put Jeffrey Lee Pierce up there, that doesn't really sort of put me off, to be honest. I'd rather hear a singer that's got passion and has got honesty and knows how to sell a song, and Jeffrey can certainly do that. He was very influenced by the blues, like the Delta blues and that, and studied slide guitar and learnt to play his instrument quite adeptly towards the end of his career. He's a little bit rougher around the edges at this point, but he is very ably supported on here by Ward Dotson. So he plays slide guitar on here. He's a superb musician, Ward Dotson. I think he only played on this album. I think, might be wrong about that. He might have played on Miami as well, which is an excellent album that comes after this one. And then we've got Rob Ritter on the bass, and then Terry Graham on the drums. But yeah, Jeffrey Lee Pierce was the mainstay throughout the Gun Club. It's got a great line in the song "Sex Beat" when he sings, "Deborah Ann's got a tiger in her hips." Deborah Ann being Deborah Ann Harry, otherwise known as Blondie. And the reason why Deborah Ann is getting a mention in the song is because I've mentioned it on the channel before, but Jeffrey Lee Pierce was actually the official president of the Blondie fan club. Huge fan of Blondie. Gun Club don't sound anything like Blondie, although Chris Stein did go on to produce Miami for them, the album that I just mentioned. So there is some connection there with Blondie. And the Gun Club actually, with the group, Jeffrey was the artist and the person responsible for introducing Hanging on the Telephone to the band Blondie, the original version by the Nerves, which is something that I have talked about on a previous episode in this series. So yeah, great guitar throughout. The drumming is fantastic. Again, a song that's very sort of short, quite sharp, quite savage, very memorable once you've listened to it. It's got a brilliant breathless vocal on there by Jeffrey in places, just got a lot of character. And what I will say is that for anybody who's into the Pixies, who maybe haven't given the Gun Club a listen, or are maybe just figuring out what they're all about, these guys were a huge influence on the Pixies. And I do think that there are certainly places within Sex Beat where vocally I do hear a lot of intonation that I feel went on to influence Black Francis, aka Frank Black, from the Pixies. Just certain words and phrases, and again, excellent use of dynamics. It's got quite a sparse production on it as well, so it sounds great. It's kind of like really sort of there and very present. It's not bogged down with a load of overdubs or production sort of theatrics or histrionics or anything. It's very stripped down, just a really great slice of bluesy punk. So if I've whetted your appetite to give Sex Beat a try, then please do listen to that one, because I do really love that song to bits. Great song. Okay. So 1981 there for Gun Club with Fire of Love, Sex Beat. We're now going back in time a couple of years. We're going back to 1979 now. We're going over to the UK, Manchester to be precise. One of my absolute all-time favourite albums, right up there, and I mean right up there. Not my all-time favourite, but it's definitely knocking on the door. Let's just put it that way. So this for me is a masterpiece. It's post-punk perfection. This is one of the greatest intros to an album that I can think of. The only reason that it's not kind of broken into the top 20 or the top 10 is just because whilst I absolutely adore it as an opening track to what is a wonderful album, I'm not ranking them as albums, I'm ranking them as songs. And it just happens to be that whilst the song here is amazing, there are a number of other songs that I do put ahead of it for one reason or another. But the power of the song cannot be denied. I do love it. And we're getting to a point here where, and I'm sure people who've been playing along with me would agree, where you're ranking things and it is literally the finest of margins as to where the songs are going to end up landing. So at one point this was a lot higher. I think maybe the highest I had it at one point was maybe about 12 or 11, but other songs started coming into play from different eras, different albums, different styles of music, and then it kind of just dropped. But it's still within the 30 to 21 bracket, which is pretty high. So enough waffling about the ranking. What's the song, if you've not already guessed it? Well, the song is Disorder. The album is, of course, Unknown Pleasures, and the band is Joy Division. There we go. With that absolutely ultra famous cover art there by Peter Saville. There we go. The Pulsar concept there, the design by Peter Saville. Factory Records, owned by the one and only Mr. Manchester himself, Tony Wilson. Tony Wilson being the chap where I grew up here in the northwest of England, where you'd see him on the telly at dinner time doing the local news report. And then by night, he was, running the Hacienda nightclub in Manchester, running a record label. Just an absolute one-off was Tony Wilson, and signing some of the greatest bands that, in my opinion, this country's ever produced. So Joy Division. So yeah, the song Disorder. What can I say about it? 3 minutes and 36 seconds of post-punk brilliance. There's the inside of it. So we get this lovely bass line to kick us off. I mean, the master of the bass, Mr. Peter Hook. Just straight in with one of his most melodic bass lines. And I mean, Peter Hook can write bass lines for days and days. One of his very, very best. Then you've got Bernard Sumner's gorgeous sort of like this brilliant sort of not slashy guitar playing, like it's got an abrasiveness to it, but it's also clear enough and tuneful enough that it doesn't sort of overwhelm the ear. It's just right in terms of how it sounds. And then the drumming throughout by Stephen Morris, who is just a human metronome. I mean, the guy is just unbelievable on the drum kit. He's got this beautiful percussive pattern going on, and because of the production on it by the legendary Martin Hannett, the drums sound powerful, but they sound futuristic as well. Certainly for 1979. I mean, some of the work on here, which is very well documented by Hannett, it made him a legend. Just this album, really, just because of the way it sounds, and he created a sound, really, Hannett. That I think anybody in the post-punk realm was just desperate to kind of work out what on earth he was doing there to achieve what he was doing. But Stephen Morris's drums really benefit from that Hannah input. But then also Ian Curtis, the one and only Ian Curtis, just the iconic opening line, "I've been waiting for a guide to come and take me by the hand." You've got this gorgeous lyric throughout. It's very very bleak, as one would expect with Joy Division, but it's just beautifully written. I mean, for somebody so young, I think that's just what always strikes me about Joy Division as a band, and certainly Ian Curtis's lyrics. I mean, just for his age and what he was writing, the maturity of it, the depth of it, the pain that he was feeling, even just for somebody to be able to convey all of that the way that he did, and then to have in Peter Hook, Bernard Sumner, and Stephen Morris this just perfect musical accompaniment to put it all out there the way that they did. It really is astonishing. And for anybody who hasn't heard Unknown Pleasures, please do listen to it in its entirety. But Disorder as an opening track, just to put you into the headspace that you need to be into to hear it, to really appreciate it. It's an album for me that I listen to at night time with the lights down. Usually when I'm, usually quite ready when I'm drifting off to sleep, to be honest. I find it a very soothing album. But then conversely, it's an album that I love dancing to as well. So when I listen to it sometimes, not at night time, and I'm, maybe had a couple of beers, or like I used to put this on quite a lot when I was getting ready to go out as well. So it's, even though it's kind of got that melancholic reputation, the mood of it, it's very bleak and stark. I do actually hear a lot of, certainly in the beats of it as the album progresses, and certainly in Disorder as the opening track, there's enough about it that you can move to it as well. It's not too glacial in its pace, and there's enough groove and sort of a bounce to it musically that you can really get into it from like a dancing perspective as well, if that's your type of thing. So yeah, I can't recommend that one enough. As an album, it's an absolute masterpiece. But we're not grading them as albums. But the opening song there, Disorder, is just essential. Please do listen to that one if you're not familiar with it. And for anybody who is playing along or wants to play along and join in, and you are big Joy Division fans, you may totally not be getting or understanding why I've got it ranked as low as I have. But finest of margins, as I mentioned. Please do let me know if you would have it in your top 100, if you rate the song at all, and if you do rate it, where would you have ranked it? Maybe it's your number one, maybe it's your 100, or maybe it wouldn't have got in at all. Different strokes for different folks, but that's where it is for me. Okay, so moving on then to the next one. We are still in the post-punk realm here. with a band that, whilst they never achieved the legendary status of Joy Division, these guys, this band, and this artist, the leader of the band, are so revered within musical circles by their peers, by people that have gone on to be influenced by them in later years, or they have influenced bands that have influenced bands, in more recent years as well. So there's definitely a lineage there. But this album is incredible. This is from 1980, I believe. This one, 1980, 79 or 80, I think. It says 1980 on here, and this is an original pressing as well. This one. So yeah, post-punk brilliant. So I'll just mention the name of the song and then I'll get into the track itself. So the band is The Sound. The song is I Can't Escape Myself, and the album is Jeopardy. And I am so happy to have this an original copy of this album, because I do think it's quite rare. That's my understanding. I got this a long time ago. Very pleased to own it. So here's the inner sleeve as well. Love this photograph, by the way, of the group. And that leader I was talking about a little earlier there is Adrian Borland. I'll be speaking about him a bit more in a few moments. Got Graham Greene there as well. Graham Greene. I think that's B Marshall, B-I. I think it's B. Might be by Marshall, but I'm pretty sure it's B. B Marshall there. And then we've got Michael Dudley there as well. But yeah, Adrian Borland, an unbelievable talent. Very sad story arc to his life, but we have to be thankful for the incredible music that he left behind. The groups that he went on to influence, such as like the Chameleons, for instance, I can think of. He went on to do some great production work as well. He produced an album by one of my favourite ever bands, which is Felt. He produced Me and a Monkey on the Moon. But we'll stick to the sound and we'll stick to the song I Can't Escape Myself. So this is the debut. And I'm going to try now to remember these lyrics from memory. I don't like doing this very often, but I think the lyrics just pretty much sum up the feel of this track and where we're going to with the album as a whole. So please do bear with me. I'll try not to screw it up. So the lyrics are, the opening lines of the song are, so many feelings pent up in here. Left alone, I'm with the one I most fear. I'm sick and I'm tired of reasoning. Just want to break out, shed off this skin. I can't escape myself. So obviously, I Can't Escape Myself being the title of the song. So already from that, he's singing about inner turmoil, struggle, having this dissatisfaction with who he is and how he feels. And very sadly, this was a recurring theme throughout Adrian Borland's life. I will leave viewers to perhaps maybe do their own research into Adrian Borland's life in terms of some of the issues that he was dealing with. But a lot of that pain, a lot of that anguish went into his art, and certainly a song like I Can't Escape Myself, it is very much evidently on display, given that this was the debut album by the band and it's the opening track. So this is like the album that was launching them into the into the music sphere, and they lead off with a track like that. So musically, what can you expect? So yeah, classic post-punk, great keyboard work in there, quite spooky keyboard lines. The guitar parts in it by Adrian Borland are just brilliant, very crunchy, quite sort of heavy. Great use of dynamics, superb guitar player as well. He was Adrian Borland. The way that he sort of sings the bit I Can't Escape Myself, the way that he staggers it and uses like this like guitar parts to sort of punctuate it, it's just brilliantly done. Really well done. And vocally, I would say that anybody who's a fan of Echo and the Bunnymen and is a fan of the voice of Ian McCulloch, I think there's so many times I listen to Adrian Borland's voice and I think there is a real McCulloch-esque vibe and tone to it. Obviously, McCulloch was from Liverpool. I'm not 100% sure from memory where the Sound were from, so I'm not going to commit to camera and say where, but I'm pretty sure they were maybe from down south. Certainly not from Liverpool. They weren't from the north. But there is so much intonation at times and just vocal mannerisms that really bring to mind McCulloch. And that might be why, one of the reasons why I do love the sound so much and I'm so drawn to them, because I absolutely adore the Bunnymen. You know, they're my second favourite band of all time. So that could be a big reason why, whenever I listen to the sound, certainly these earlier records like From the Lion's Mouth, which is an absolute classic as well, unbelievable album from 1981, because of those McCullochisms and that Bunnymen sort of post-punk sound and vibe, that might be why, yeah, the sound might be up the way that they do. So, yeah, anyone out there who's maybe not sure of the sound, you might have only heard them by name. If you're into your post-punk and you like it moody, you like it with substance to it, something that's going to make you think, something that's going to maybe move you as well, both musically and lyrically, certainly will move you lyrically, then please do give this this song and this album a listen. I would really love everybody to check out that song. I Can't Escape Myself. Bit of a hidden gem for me, and the sound I just feel are a band. Whilst I feel they are continuing to grow in stature. I do think more people are becoming aware of them as the years are going on. But I think that I just think that everybody should know them. They should really be up there in wider circles as just being one of the great UK bands of all time. But anyone who's into the post-punk will know who these guys are, and they are utterly superb. Brilliant song, that, on a really great album. Okay, so just got 3 left now. Okay, so this band here, wow. This might even be my third favourite band of all time, or maybe even joint second. I don't know now. I mentioned the Bunnymen there. They're, hard to beat. It's only the Manics beating them, but these guys are just like so good. Have played so many different styles over the years. They can just do the lot. Picking an opening track, actually, now that I come to think of it, was because I was limiting myself to just one band, one song per band or artist. So I explained that in part 1. For anybody who's catching up, I've only allowed myself to choose one song by any given band or artist. I was allowing myself, if they'd gone solo, that I could pick one by the band and one by the artist. But this one, so many great opening tracks littered across their albums, and I thought, I know for a fact I'm going to choose one, but which one would it be? And then it was a case of where it was going to rank as well. So this one's coming at, so if this ends at 21, so it's 21, 20, this is at 23, this one. So yeah, what a song, absolutely amazing. So the band, first of all, just, so shut up about that, is The Cure, the one and only Cure, still going strong to, even today. The Cure, in October 2025, doing a big tour next year. So the song is In Between Days, and the album is The Head on the Door, which came out in 1985. Yeah, I had to rein myself in there a bit, because I started drifting off to the fact I'm actually very fortunately I'm going to be going to see The Cure next year. So that's hot off the press, and I've not really even told many people about that yet. I only found out a few days ago at the point of recording this video. So yeah, very excited to be seeing The Cure in 2026. So yeah, I mean, they're still doing the business now, and In Between Days, what a song. Absolutely brilliant song to kick off an unbelievably good, strong, solid Cure album. A lot of great pop hooks on this one. We're moving away from the more sort of goth inclinations of Pornography and Faith, 17 Seconds, those earlier albums prior to this one. They'd done a bit of psychedelia with The Top. They'd done the post-punk sort of buzzcocky type thing with Three Imaginary Boys. So the band were just evolving at a rate of knots, really. I mean, they're just absolutely breathless in terms of their development, songcraft. I mean, Robert Smith, the one and only mainstay of The Cure. He is The Cure. Robert Smith, just a wonderful songwriter, amazing talent. Love the guy so much. Love what he stands for as well. Taking a stand against ticket sales and touts and stuff in this country over his gigs and concerts in general. Can just write songs seemingly with no effort whatsoever, and whatever genre he wants to dip his toe into, he always ends up doing the business. So yeah, In Between Days, very New Order sounding, I will say that, in terms of the bass line. Brilliant bass work on it. Anyone hearing that opening bass riff, you would be mistaken to think it was New Order. But New Order are fabulous as well. And if you are going to sound like anybody bass wise, why not sound like Peter Hook? Certainly not saying it's a criticism. It's not like a rip off or anything. It's definitely The Cure, and it's very much their own song. But there is that sound to it. So that's an instant tick in the box for me. Then you've got these gorgeous, like, very very frenetically strummed acoustic guitars coming in, to accentuate that bass line. You've got these lovely pounding drums there as well. Then you've got this great keyboard line coming in, like da na 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 na, just a lovely lilting melody to it, which is echoed later on in the chorus, or the pre-chorus I should say. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Is it technically got a chorus? Actually, it's quite an interesting song structure in Between Days, and I just love the lyrics of it as well. I just think the lyrics are so strong. My eyes aren't going to help me here. That's really difficult to read, and I'm not going to try. I could try and do it off the top of my head, but I don't want to push my luck. I did. I Can't Help Myself by The Sound Well off the top of my head, and even though that's printed there in front of me, my eyes are so poor. I'm not going to try and read that. Um, yeah, and you don't want to be hearing me sing either. I don't do a bad Robert Smith impression, but you won't be hearing it today. I'm going to spare you all that. So please just go and listen to the song. I do need to give you some encouragement and some homework to do. I can't be doing all the work. So yeah, lyrically I do love it. It's got like a bit of I wouldn't say it's got like a melancholy to it. That might be pushing it a bit far, but um, it's almost got like a bit of a longing to it, like a bit of a sort of a yearning sort of a feel to it. Maybe that's just in the way that Robert Smith sings the song. That might be just my take and interpretation on it. We all hear things differently. Some people might hear it and think there's no kind of yearning to it at all, and it sounds rather upbeat and very bouncy and poppy. We can all take different things away from these songs, but for me personally, I did think in the end, when I looked at all of the choices for The Cure that I could have gone for, I do think that In Between Days is my favourite Cure opener. Just about. There were some that were really pushing it to be included, but In Between Days did win out, just because, again, I love the feel of the song. I love listening to it. Whenever it comes on, it makes me smile. I love dancing around to it, or rather I did. I don't dance around as much as I did these days, but this again would have been another one that was getting played at Greg and Danny's DJ nights when I was talking about the Violent Femmes before. They would often play The Cure. Things like this would get a spin In Between Days and stuff. So yeah, it just takes me back to a really good time in my life, and just a brilliant song. And I do hope that this one does get played when I get to see them live next year. It'll be the third time that I'll have seen The Cure, for anyone who's interested. First time I saw them was at Coachella in 2003, and then I saw them the second time at Old Trafford Cricket Ground. So this will be the hat trick now to go and see The Cure. So just got to wait until August 2026 to go and watch them over in Wythenshawe. Okay, so let's move on then. We've just got two left now. So here's a group actually that Robert Smith had connections with. Even more than that, he was actually a member of the band for a while, so we shouldn't just say connection. He did play in this group for a while, recorded with them, did a brilliant live album with them, which I've got here in the collection. And this song here is just spellbinding. It's spellbindingly brilliant. Again, very Partridge-esque. Didn't mean to do that, people, but it just slipped out there. But yeah, I love this song. I'm going to be going on about the guitarist for a bit now because he needs to be talked about because he's just an absolute legend. So this is the other album that I was talking about earlier when I mentioned the Gun Club from 1981. This is the other album that came out in 81 that is definitely up there as one of my all-time favourites of that year, which therefore makes it one of my favourite albums of the 80s along with the Gun Club. So the song is Spellbound. The album is Juju, and the band is Siouxsie and the Banshees. Look at that for a cover. Just take it out of its crinkly wrapping. So this came in at number 22 in my top 100, Spellbound. Absolutely brilliant, brilliant alternative, gothic, post-punk, whatever. I mean, there's just nothing else like it. The sound of the thing. I'll get into that a little bit more now. So there's the back cover as well, Juju. This is my favourite Siouxsie album as well, out of interest. So there we go. Got the lyrics in that there. From the cradle bars comes beckoning voice. It sends you spinning. You have no choice. Opening lines there are spellbound, and I absolutely love these photographs now of the band, especially the one of Siouxsie. I just think she looks amazing on that photograph there, Siouxsie. Brilliant photo that. And then John McGeoch here. What an unbelievable guitar player. This for me, Spellbound, although everybody performs on it wonderfully well, and I'll make sure they all get the due. So there's Steve Severin there on the bass. Steve Severin, and then we've got Budgie. Great, great, great drummer there, percussionist. And Siouxsie's partner as well there, Budgie. Brilliant, brilliant group. So good, these four. But yeah, let's talk about John McGeoch. So, Scottish guitarist, incredible talent, played in like some of my favorite groups pretty much of the post-punk stratosphere. He played with Public Image Limited, started out with Magazine, who were just awesome band. Played with the Banshees on pretty much my favorite albums of theirs. He did work in Visage as well. He was just such a great player. Could play anything really. And what makes Spellbound such a brilliant song is just the various textures and guitar styles and techniques that John McGeoch uses throughout the song. I think while we're talking about John, I'm going to hold up that picture there of John to see. There he is. So yeah, he sort of like alternates between this really brilliant, again quite frenetic acoustic strumming, not dissimilar kind of to In Between Days, but I was just talking about there with The Cure, but obviously different chord sequence, but the strumming gives the song a lot of power. It really keeps it moving along, motoring along. There is definitely like a breathless quality to Spellbound, and then you've got these lovely, truly lovely arpeggiated guitar bits in there as well, like electric guitar parts that just are so dizzying whenever I listen to them. Just brilliant, brilliant to play on the guitar, and it's just a wonderful composition. I really do think it's just a showcase for his abilities. But a lot of Siouxsie songs were like that. Christine's another one that comes to mind, which isn't on this album. That's on Kaleidoscope, where John's playing just elevates the track. Just such a distinctive guitarist, just somebody who just could coax magic out of his six string and just do things that are seemingly simple, but it's having that imagination and having that ability and talent just to put it out there. Johnny Marr being another one, another player who was actually very influenced by John McGeoch. I've heard Marr talking about McGeoch quite a lot and giving him a lot of credit, which always makes me smile and makes me happy because that's one great guitarist recognising the abilities of another. And again, his work in Magazine, he elevated a lot of their work as well. Just a brilliant player. I love talking about John McGeoch when I get a chance to. But let's just move away from him for a second, because Siouxsie's vocal performance on it is stunning. She's one of my all-time favourite female vocalists. I absolutely love Siouxsie so much. Her lyrics have always been, to me, very intriguing, very, very captivating. There is obviously a lot of darkness within the lyrics, and I mean, Juju is as an album is a pretty dark album. I would put it in kind of like the gothic, alternative rock territory, but it's just such a rewarding listen. And Spellbound really does set the mood beautifully for the record to come. So Susie's vocals on it sound great. Just the way she uses her voice to inject like a bit of, again, a bit of alarm, a bit of a sense of doom into the track works really well, but doesn't do it in a way that it sounds, sort of over the top or, sort of overdone or fake. It sounds so authentic. It just sounds like a person really going for it, which is what you want with a song like Spellbound. Everybody's committed to it. And then the rhythm section here is Steve Severin and Budgie. They're just doing wonderful, wonderful things. I love the bass work on it, particularly the way that the way it sort of accompanies the guitar work of McGeoch. And even though it's really front and center, McGeoch's playing, it's sort of it's flashy without being flashy. And I think the only way that you can understand what I mean by that is if you go and listen to it. And then the drumming of Budgie is just so on point as it always is. He's really driving the song along, carrying it home really. And the whole track as an overall experience is just an absolute rush. I love listening to it so much, and I always get a great thrill from introducing this song to people and this album and this band to people as well. I've done that quite a lot over the years because Susie and the Banshees are a group that I've loved from being a teenager. So yeah, great album, great song there, Spellbound. Another one that was a little bit higher up originally in my ranking, and then it had to be moved around a little bit just for the purpose of some other songs that I was thinking, oh yeah, but that one's great and that one's great, and how can I have that one ranked there and that type of thing. So yeah, it just gets to a stage where ultimately, if they've made it into the 100 at all, then they're in fab company because and the songs that are so dear to my heart because I had so many to pick from in the collection. So there we go. Spellbound by Susie and the Banshees. And now to finish us off for this part, the part 8, we made it, we're here. We're at number 21. What a song. What a song. Puts a huge smile on my face, this one, as all these songs do for one reason or another. And it's just the sheer, I'm just going to come out and say it, it's the sheer raw power of it. Had to be in here. Wasn't sure where it was going to get ranked, but 21, yeah, I thought that's where it landed. So we mentioned Iggy Pop before with Lust for Life. He's back here with a vengeance, with this amazing album from 1973 with his Stooges. So this is Iggy and the Stooges, Raw Power, and the track is called Search and Destroy, the opening track. An absolutely brilliant song to kick off what is an unbelievably good album. I love the Stooges so much. Talked about them quite a bit on the channel at the point of recording this video. Love the Stooges. Great photograph there by Mick Rock. Look at that. That's one of the most iconic, famous photographs in rock history, that one. Iggy there in his full, rock god pose. And as I mentioned before, we usually see him topless, Mr. Pop. So he's on brand there on the front cover, and then we can see him there on the back as well. Really cool jacket there. There he is. Iggy there, all glammed up. Okay, so Search and Destroy. Opening lines, I'm a street walking cheater with a heart full of napalm. I mean, if that's not going to kind of catch you and make you think, oh, what's going on here, then nothing will really. And again, mentioned it before, I think he's a really underrated lyricist, Iggy. Great command of English. He's a very intelligent guy. I mean, you only need to listen to his interviews that have been recorded over the years, certainly on talk shows and things. Very intelligent guy, Iggy Pop. Really cultured and knows his stuff. Great, massive respect and appreciation for the arts. But when it just comes down to rocking out and really getting into the raw power, nobody does it better than Iggy Pop and his Stooges. He's joined here by James Williamson on the guitar. His work on this track, Search and Destroy, and the album as a whole, it's just pure fire. Amazing guitar work by James Williamson. And then you've got the Ashton brothers there as well. So you've got Ron Ashton on bass and vocals and Scott Ashton on the drums. And what's interesting about this song and the album is that this version here, this original version of the album, was mixed by David Bowie. So this is another opportunity, another chance that Bowie and Iggy took to work together. So this was obviously 4 years before they collaborated on Lust for Life and The Idiot. So there's the Bowie mix, which is this one, and then Iggy Pop himself mixed it at a later date. And what I'd be really interested to know in the comments for anybody who's a fan of the album is, which mix do you prefer? Do you prefer the Bowie mix or do you prefer the Iggy Pop mix? I'm going to go out and just say straight off the bat, I prefer the Bowie mix, just because sonically it's more pleasing to me. Doesn't sound quite as compressed, and I feel like the Iggy Pop, there's something that's kind of lost in the mix for me personally. But I would really be keen to find out what other people make of the two versions, whether they can hear much difference. But yeah, I am going out on putting my opinion out there. I've heard both versions, both mixes, and I do prefer this original Bowie mix. So as well as those great opening lyrics of Search and Destroy, you've just got some great guitar work on there, as I mentioned, by Williamson, absolutely howling away on that guitar. The drums are clattering around all over the place by Scott Ashton. Ron Ashton's bass is very thick and fuzzy and heavy. You've got Iggy Pop singing in all manner of different ways. There's a bit of howling in places there. The way that he just mixes his voice up is just so brilliant. I mean, Iggy's got one of these great deep baritone voices when he uses that, every now and again. Certainly started using it more on later period recordings and when he was showing up as, guest singers on other people's work. But on this one, he's got that sort of like quite a softer side to the voice, even though he's got it howling away and yelping and doing all kinds of great stuff. And it just sounds exciting, urgent. It gets the blood pumping. It's a song again that when I put it on, I just completely rock out to it, whether I'm sitting in my chair or it makes me want to go and grab my guitar and play along and join in to the best of my ability, and what can I say? It's just a track that is very special, and it might not be everybody's cup of tea because it doesn't sound polished. If you're looking for some kind of orchestral chamber pop, or as beautiful as those things are, or you're looking for something that sounds beautiful, then Raw Power isn't going to be your album, and Search and Destroy most likely isn't going to be your song. But if you're looking for something that just is really going to clear the cobwebs, blow your socks off, get you rocking, something to challenge you but in the greatest ways possible, then please do listen to not only that stomper of an opening track, but the album as a whole. So there we go, Iggy Pop, Iggy and the Stooges, Raw Power, Search and Destroy. Okay, so that is me done for part 8. I had so much fun doing that one. I really enjoyed that. Not sure what time I've clocked in at here. It's usually over an hour or so with me. So if you are still here now at the very end, thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. I hope that you enjoyed there what I had to show, and that you could see there my enthusiasm for those songs shining through. So the only thing that I would like to ask, if I may, is that if you did enjoy what I've done today and you are new to this channel, to the Vinyl Sanctuary, then please do consider giving the video a like. I'd really appreciate it if you did. And also, if you would like to join me and the community here at the Vinyl Sanctuary in taking refuge in records, then you might consider subscribing as well to the channel. That would be wonderful if you did. Thank you so much if you do. If you make the decision to subscribe, then please don't forget to click the notification bell, and that will give you all the alerts and things that you need as to when I have got more content landing here on the channel. So that's part 8 done. I've just got parts 9 and 10 to do. Really looking forward to getting to them as soon as I can. I will be continuing, as I mentioned earlier in the video, to just keep working through the series. Once that's all done and dusted, there's a few ideas and some other stuff that I'm planning to look at. There has been a job lot that was purchased several months ago, which I could well do a video on. I'm planning to do one. And also I took a trip to Yorkshire in September this year as well, and picked up some great stuff during my holiday, and I'll show those at some point on the channel as well. So that's all stuff for another day. I want to keep on track here with the top 100. Really excited as well to see the picks of people that tune into me regularly. Thank you so much to you all, for joining in. The likes of Jesse and Michelle and Naughty Vampire God and Robert and Ash and all these wonderful people that have been supporting me right from the beginning of the series. But if you do want to join in and play along, it's never too late. You can certainly catch up, even if you don't want to do a full 100. If you just want to tell me a few of your favourites, opening tracks of all time from studio albums, I'm always really keen to hear what people are into and why they're into what they're into. So thanks again. Take care, and until next time, bye for now.